Hi, welcome to Inside the Moms Club, where being a mom is the coolest place to be. Here in the Moms Club, we believe that what embarrasses you now will make a great story later. And let's face it, you don't laugh sometimes, you're gonna cry. Join us in having a good laugh together. I'm Monica Samuels. You are now inside the Moms Club, your private destination for all things mom.
If you see me running, stop me.
Welcome, moms. Welcome to Inside the Moms Club. I'm your host, Monica Samuels, and I am here with my co-host, Julie Orchid. Last time I turned to the usual seat, it was empty because Julie was gallivanting around the world. Didn't bring me a souvenir, and as I mentioned in my other show, that was going to be a point of whether she got to stay. But you know what? Here she is. So we're so happy to have you back.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Now tell everybody where you went.
Well, listen, I had a date with my children and the Olympics, and it was epic. I mean, it was electric. The vibe was so fun, and I didn't know what to expect. I mean, everybody tries to put the fear of God in you that, that's not a good event. You shouldn't do that.
I did.
All that you did. She does.
I warned her.
Yeah. So I shouldn't do it, that it wouldn't be safe. It was completely safe. I've never seen so many police. In fact, we saw Los Angeles Police Department there.
Yeah.
So it was.
They were getting ready.
They're getting ready. They're in training. So anyway, it was really fun to be in a place where you got to see so many dreams come true, literally right before your eyes. Regular people doing extraordinary things, and you cried. It didn't matter what country you were watching or where you were. It was incredible.
It looked like a lot of fun. Now I have a theory. I'd like to throw this out to the Olympic Committee. I feel very strongly about this with the Moms Club. I feel like when they give the gold medal, that the mother should be standing at the podium and perhaps even receive a medal herself.
I mean,
because let's face it, athletes, who got you there?
That's right.
Who drove you to the pool?
I mean,
who
let's
told
talk
you to
about
keep
the
doing
swimmer moms for a
gymnastics,
minute.
even though
Not
you had
that
a
I was a
broken arm?
swimmer mom, but 4 a.m. Like these practices are from when they're really young, so you're doing it all. I agree with what you have to say about being on the podium, but I also think the silver and the bronze moms
those people too. Yeah. Well, or have a separate medal ceremony for the parents, because
We're
we know
doing it all.
Let's face it. You didn't drive yourself over to gymnastics at 5 years old, right?
Exactly. Did you think you needed to be someone in the Olympics growing up? I did.
I did. Well, see, here's how my Olympic experience always worked. I was a kid. I would watch the Olympics, and then I'd be inspired. And I thought, how can I get in the Olympics? Yeah. And I would go outside. I would do all kinds of stuff.
And then?
Well, my Olympic dreams always died when the Olympic flame went out. That was kind of the end of it.
I thought I was Nadia Comaneci. There's a lot of people that I was with, like my children. Why are you wearing that sweatshirt? I was like, you just don't understand. Greatest movie ever, greatest story. And then I picked up on Mary Lee Retton. So clearly I missed my gymnastics calling, but I was a dreamer.
Yeah. I did not miss my gymnastics calling.
No.
I cannot do I have never been able to do a somersault.
Well, I think the whole point is about dreams and following dreams and believing that you can.
Yeah. Now I did have one bad experience, of course, when I caught the shot put in 7th grade.
Monica has a weird flat finger.
Yeah, I have a very weird story. Yeah, I have a flat finger because I caught a shot put. It is not recommended. If you have a child in track and field, make sure that they know that that's not, you don't catch that.
Yeah.
So, but
kind of a weird story.
When you have your dreams and like when you go for it, when you go for something, I just think that's so cool. Like people have, because of various things I've done in my life, have said, why don't you run for office?
Well, I would vote for you.
Well, you know what? I've always said, nah, there's too much stress involved.
Right.
It's just like people are mean and your family gets involved. It's just not good. But you know what? Now that on the flip side, I look at like some of the candidates out there these days and I think, I could do that. And I'm not making an announcement here, but I'm considering it. I'm going to form an exploratory committee.
Oh, okay.
I can't decide whether to call it Monica 2028 or Mom 2028, because wouldn't people want to vote for their mom? Well, most people.
I can say that. There are some kids out there who would be like, no way.
That might not be a good thing. Yeah, you might not want to put that on your bumper sticker on your car. But
yeah.
So I'm thinking about that. Because,
okay.
But what I admire people who not only think about it,
Yeah,
but
who
they
like take the
do
fear
it.
out and just do it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so today we have one such person. We are so excited. She is an American TV personality, author, and musician. She is best known for her time on reality TV, Breaking Bonaduce, if you remember that show on VH1, with her ex-husband Danny Bonaduce, with whom she has 2 children. But her latest claim to fame is she ran for mayor of Bisbee, Arizona. Please welcome former and possibly future mayoral candidate, Gretchen Bonaduce. Welcome to the Moms Club.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I am so excited because I just admire the fact that you jumped in there and you did something that we all kind of like, well, I don't like how that's working. I should run. We can all run for office. Nobody.
That's literally what I
you.
did. I really didn't put a lot of thought process into it. I saw, same as you, people going, oh, I'm going to run. I'm like, well, if they're qualified, so am I. So I jumped in really without thinking that much about it, other than the fact that I really feel like our town needed a lot of change.
Yeah.
And so I just went for it. And it was such an experience. I definitely see now how a lot of great people don't win around, because you do have to put up with a lot of crap, not gonna lie. So just be prepared for that.
That's the negative side. Well, let's talk about how you did it, because for those out there who, all over America, who think, well, maybe I should run. Let's dig deep into this. So how did you, you're not from Bisbee, Arizona, and that's always I have a place in Florida, and every once in a while I think, well, maybe I'll run for Congress here, but I only visit there to go to the beach, and I have a feeling that would be thrown up against me later on. So tell us.
Yes, and it would have.
It would, yeah. So tell us how
100%.
you came to be in Bisbee, Arizona, which, by the way, I looked it up. It's south of Tucson and 11 miles from the Mexican-American border. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, one of my houses is 2 miles from the border.
Oh, wow.
So I see a lot of border patrol down there, pulling people out of the bushes quite often.
Wow.
But I love this town. It is the cutest little town. It was formed in like the 1800s, late 1800s. And it's so interesting because at the turn of the century, there were 3 stock exchanges in the United States. New York, San Francisco, and Bisbee, if you can believe that. We had so many people here. It was a huge mining town.
Oh, wow.
And so I found the town because I really wanted to leave LA. I just didn't like the hustle and bustle. And I didn't really go anywhere because you just kind of stay in your neighborhood. It takes so long to get anywhere else. So I decided to Google mansions for sale. And this house came up and I just fell in love with it.
It's beautiful. Are you in one of them right now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's called Greenway Manor is the house that I primarily live in. It was built in 1908 by the mining company, and the head of the mining company lived here. And then the supervisors and people had apartments. It's like a 10,000 square foot house, 10 bedrooms, 11 bathrooms.
Wow.
I was doing a lot of the cleaning when I first moved here 5 years ago. So thank God I've been able to hire some more people for help, but it just sort of lent itself to doing Airbnb because I had 7 bedrooms, all with little kitchenettes and private bathrooms.
Yeah.
So I turned it into this rock and roll Airbnb. So all the rooms are themed. I have a Beatles room, a David Bowie room, a Johnny Cash room.
Oh, that's fun.
So it's super cool.
Well,
that is
I have to
super
say,
cool.
I have a two-part question for you. What was your breaking point of leaving LA? There must have been the straw that broke the camel's back. And then how busy is the bed and breakfast in Bisbee, Arizona?
Well, I ended up wanting to leave LA. First of all, I never wanted to go to LA.
Sure.
My ex-husband and I were living in New York City, and I loved it there. I was really not happy when they said we had to go to LA. But at the time, he was in radio, and when you get a job, they just send you where you have to go, and you have to go. So I went there, and there was upsides for sure. It's so beautiful every day, so my kids could play outside. But I do think raising your kids in LA is not the best idea, especially if you have a famous parent. It's just kind of a weird universe to put your kids in. Yeah. So I really wanted to leave. And there wasn't really a straw that broke the camel's back. I just never wanted to be there in the first place.
Sure. Yeah, you're like, I'm out.
Yeah, but the great thing about it was I lived it like everyone wants to. Everyone goes to LA to be in show business. I was at the Grammys, the Emmys, the red carpet, so I feel super fortunate that I lived the LA dream that everybody wishes they could. But I don't think it's a great place for kids.
Yeah.
I really wish we would have lived somewhere else and commuted back and forth into LA. I think that would have been better for my kids.
I think there's some value to that for sure.
Now, do you have any other connection with Arizona other than you just found this place in Arizona? Have you ever lived there before, or do you?
I have. Actually, Danny and I got married here. He was a DJ in Phoenix when we met, and my parents were living here as well. I'm from Chicago, but I grew up in Tennessee, like my high school years. I lived in Chattanooga, went to high school there. So that was really hard to move from the north to the south. And in high school on top of it, being very awkward and not knowing anybody. And, my accent was weird. They'd all just be going, "Hey, you want some pop, everyone?" I'm like, "Oh, really, guys?" So you picked up a Southern accent really fast. I started saying, y'all, and y'all come on over. And, I had guys come up to me and go, "My mama would die if I brought home a Yankee, but I'd sure like to take you out." So, that was kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. But, I've lived all over. I lived in Germany. I lived in San Francisco, which was fortunate for me because we moved so much that I really didn't have any connection. So it was kind of easy for me to pick up and move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I moved a lot too, so I'm familiar. You just keep going and you pick up where you are. You learn what's in the town and, make new friends and go
And
for
I
it.
think that if you're outgoing, it's a lot easier. Like my brother wasn't, and I think it was a lot harder on him. But I'm so friendly. I mean, that was one of the criticisms my ex-husband always said about me was, "You like everyone. It's not a compliment and I can't help it. I do. Like, it's sort of toxic positivity a bit, I think. But
I've heard that from my ex-husband too, so don't worry.
There's nothing wrong with liking
Too
everybody
outgoing.
and
Don't
being
talk too much.
friendly.
Don't laugh too
Wow.
loud. Yeah.
That's not.
That's
When you
interesting.
mentioned Phoenix, so I interned for a congressman from Scottsdale, Arizona. And that's where I learned a lot. Eldon Rudd, he's no longer with us. But the funny thing that's when I first learned about politics and kind of what you were getting into. They had me run the reception desk one day, and they told me, "Monica, whatever you do, the congressman is not here. He is not here, no matter who comes in here." Well, his office was like to the left, right by the door. So I said, okay. So this little cute family from Scottsdale comes in. They want to meet their congressman. I'm like, "I'm sorry, he's not here. Just then, he walks out the door, shakes all their hands, and walks out. And then it became clear to me they didn't know who he was, which just goes to show.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
We don't all know, who's running things. So
now
you go to Bisbee.
Yep, I've been here 5 years.
How big is Bisbee? How many people live in Bisbee?
Good question.
5,000. So it's a tiny little town. And everyone knows everything about everyone. So that's one of the downsides of living in a small town. But more so because there's like a kernel of truth to everything, but most of it's not true. So you're dealing with that a lot in a small town.
So what were some of the issues that you saw that you talked about? You're like, I had a lot of issues that I thought needed to be fixed. We're dying to know about, this town and the people there. And give us some tidbits on that.
Okay, well, first of all, when I decided to run, I had to go to City Hall and you had to get signatures and you had to have a certain amount of signatures to qualify. So that was the first step I had to do. And I was easily able to do that, except for I made a mistake. That's the one thing that was so great about me running this time. I kind of learned all the mistakes. And if I decide to run again, I won't make them again. Mm-hmm. But I thought that if I was getting the signatures, that I didn't need to sign the back of my petitions, only if I was having other people do it. Well, that turned out not to be true. I needed to sign back, which I did not.
Okay. Lesson learned.
Right. So then some of the people on the city council tried to get me out by suing me and saying she didn't sign, so she can't run. So I hired an attorney and we fought it. And I guess it's a common mistake to make, that a lot of times people just forget. It's not a big deal, but when they don't really want you to run, they'll look for any way to get you out. So just be prepared for that if you decide to rent.
That is true. Yeah, that's common. I'm also an attorney, so I'm very familiar with that sort of thing. Yes.
Yes. So luckily I had a great attorney, and the judge decided in my favor. So I was able to move forward. Excuse me. I have really bad allergies. So I
Listen.
have a little allergy.
So tell us first, you talked about the people, 5,000 people. There's everybody knows everybody's business. So what's the scuttlebutt there in Bisbee? Like, who are there, like little cliques, or you said the city council, are they all in a little, like they're all kind of, related to each other, or what's the story there? Give us some color of what Bisbee's like.
Well, definitely there's little cliques. It's a very artistic community. We have a lot of musicians, a lot of artists. It's just the most charming little town. If you look it up, you will see. And so I call it the island of misfit toys. There's a lot of weirdos here. And that's one of the things I love about the town. And also, it's a tourist town, but there's a lot of retirees. So you're kind of fighting against that because they get their pension and their Social Security. So the last thing they want is more tourists to come in or more people with money to come in and drive prices up. But unfortunately, we are a tourist town. So that's one of the things. As a businesswoman, I employ 16 people in this town. And if we don't have tourists, I don't have jobs for those people. So I am constantly promoting the town as much as I can to try to bring in more people. My Airbnbs do really well. Like, I figured out the niche for the rock and roll Airbnb, and then I have a house at the airport where you can fly your plane in and pull it into the house. There's a hangar. So I do pretty well, but they also started making it really hard to have Airbnbs, which, in California, they were doing that too.
Oh, yeah.
So true.
So now they're much stricter. Like, we have to have the fire marshal has to come in once a year, and someone has to come through once a year and go through all your fire extinguishers, and you have to pay a fee. And so there's a lot more to it than there used to be, which I think is a good thing. We just had a fire in Old Bisbee, and 2 of the old buildings burned down. And so it's super important, because these buildings are old, that we have the fire department totally on top of it constantly.
Now, I saw you in a candidate forum, and I saw the mayor. He looks like he's, I don't know, older, retired Bisbee? Is that one of those?
Yeah, he was a fireman, interestingly enough.
Oh, and then
I know
Wanda.
he ran for the legislature in Utah a couple times, ran here once, didn't win, and then he won. And he won this time. I came in second, and he won, but he was the incumbent. I also was running as an independent, and he was running Democratic. So he had all that force behind him and a lot of donations. But I don't know, for me, I like to be able to vote however I think is the best way without having pressure from a party.
So was Wanda the Republican? How did that shake out? I saw Wanda was the other candidate.
Wanda's a Democrat.
So there are no Republicans in Bisbee.
And I ran as an independent. Yeah.
Which makes sense.
I mean, I just want to vote the way I want to. I don't want to have someone go, well, the whole party is voting this way, so you have to vote that way. I'd rather not have that pressure, but it does make it a little more difficult when you don't have a party behind you and extra money. Like, I didn't want to take money from anybody because I didn't know if I could win. So I, sort of put my own into it for this time. And if I decide to run next time, I might take money, but we'll see. Like, I'm not sure.
Well, it's impressive that you came in second. I have to say, I mean, it's tough to knock off the incumbent. You're right. The incumbency, they kind of control everything at that point. So that's rough.
Well, I have the support of the ex-mayor, the ex-city attorney. A lot of people were supporting me. A lot of business people. Most of the business people voted for me. So because they get it, our town's gonna die. We had 5 businesses close in July because they couldn't make it. There weren't enough tourists.
Yeah, if it wasn't for people like you, Gretchen, that town may just slowly die. You know what I mean? So
you're doing exactly what you should do.
I'm going to keep pushing and pushing as much as I can, but I am up against the people that don't want more tourists here. But I think in the long run, if things keep going this way and more businesses go under, next time I'd have even more support. They'll get it that it is what we are. I know you don't want to be a tourist town, people that have been here for 20 years. And it's strange because the people that have been here for generations, when the mine closed in the 70s, it almost did turn into a ghost town. And so they get it that the tourists are the people that are keeping it alive. So, you know, I'm just going to keep pushing for that. I don't want to see that happen in my town. I love it so much. And the people and the artists, and, you know, the more people that come in, we can let the musicians play more, and there's more tourists to tip them, so they make better money. And, you know, a lot of them can't live here in Bisbee anymore because they can't afford the rent. So that's one thing I try to do, is have 3 of my places for locals and try to keep it reasonable for them, and then rent the rest out to the tourists.
No, that's great. Well, you're right, because basically, if you're not a tourist town, do you still want to be a town? Because you're not going to be around. You're right, it'll be a ghost town. So
what do your kids think of you up and moving to Bisbee? I mean, what did they, I mean, we all have kids here, so we're interested in knowing what their thoughts are on your, you know, gusto to get up and do this.
Well, my daughter lives in Europe, and I knew she would never come here because she's super gothy and she doesn't like the sun. So I probably would not see her here very often. She's married to a professor in Brighton University, and, and lives over there, and she loves it. And my son came here because I said, I'd rather you move here and learn how to drive than try to learn in Los Angeles.
Oh, God.
So, so he came here, learned how to drive, left and lived in Denver. He's a chef. So he was working at Red Rocks in Denver, and then went to Thailand for a while to study Muay Thai. And now he's back here as a chef, and he's going to be working in a vineyard in Sonoyta, which is about an hour from here. So I mean, they're both proud of me, you know, that I make decisions and just make it happen. And, you know, I literally had no real, I mean, I've waited tables, so I've had restaurant experience. I also own 2 restaurants here on top of the Airbnbs.
Oh my gosh.
But I really didn't have, I'm the worst cleaner in the world, honestly. I'm really, really, really bad. So I had to learn to be great. And my cleaning ratings are really good. So that was nice. But yeah, I think they're proud of me that, you know, I am self-made. You know, I moved here, didn't know much of anything, opened 2 Airbnbs, and now my restaurant expanded to another town. So I just love to work. I really do, but it is starting to catch up to me.
Wow.
You know, I'll be 59 in a couple weeks, and I try to keep up my old pace, but I'm like, darn, I really can't keep doing this.
Oh, wait.
Popping every day, cleaning.
You're going to be 59? You don't look even
scarily
39. Wow.
I mean,
this show should be more about how you look so great. We need to have a follow-up show.
It's a group effort now. Luckily, going over the border into Mexico is really inexpensive to have Botox. So
there's a tidbit.
I line up my friends here, and we caravan down. We walk over. We go. We boom, boom, boom our Botox filler, whatever, and then we walk back over the border.
Listen, I feel a road trip coming on for many reasons. We can take a plane. We can go to Mexico for Botox.
I want to check out Bisbee. That's for sure.
So I have a quick question, because my daughter majored in Spanish. Are you bilingual?
I am not, embarrassingly enough. I'm not, and that is something I have to work on for sure.
Okay.
I'm not.
I was just curious. You live so close, and you say you're walking into Mexico. I'm wondering, you know, how, you know, the communication sometimes, you know.
I usually have someone with me that can speak Spanish, so I haven't had a problem yet. But, you know, there's a lot of dentists down there that are also really inexpensive. So a lot of Americans go over the border. We go into Agua Prieta, but there's also Naco, Mexico.
Oh.
And yeah, it's like a quarter to a third of the price that it is in the United States for anything. Like 50 units of Botox in Mexico is $250. That'd be like $800 in LA.
Oh, that trip is going to happen sooner than later, Monica.
As a tourist spot,
I'm having my teeth redone because I had Lumineers many years ago. They're only supposed to last a certain amount of time. I think when I did it 15, 16 years ago, I paid like 10. It's like $3,800 for
oh my goodness.
Wow.
All right.
Come, you guys, hurry, come visit
well,
me.
I get accused, but, you know, Georgia's like, you just need to learn Spanish and quit using my skills. So I just had to ask. I was like, who's helping you?
Nobody, but I need to learn. You know, I can say a few basic phrases, but I'm just so busy. It's so hard for me to go anywhere. Because, you know, the 6 businesses really with the 4 Airbnb, it's hard for me to give control over to somebody else. So
Yeah, my question of like, what is it a day in the life of you? But I think I have a pretty good idea of how busy you are if you have 4 businesses.
Yeah, you
well,
are.
6 actually. 'Cause
On the Spanish front, I studied Spanish. I never could speak it no matter what I did. And recently we had somebody that, one of the people that was helping us, he was Spanish speaking and he went on this other man's property that's our neighbor, and the guy's not particularly friendly. So I was trying to explain to the guy how he shouldn't be over there. And this is a podcast, so I can't demonstrate all of the
we don't want you
visuals
to do that.
I did. Just like, it's
Right.
dangerous over there. So that's kind of hard if you
We
don't
all
know
have
how
to
do it.
learn.
Well, I want to hear about I'm going to go back to your campaign really quick, because I heard you had a stand-up comic was your campaign manager. Is that true? I mean, who helped you with this besides the other business people of Bisbee? Like who?
I did. I somehow convinced Doug Stanhope, who is a brilliant comic, to help me along. At first, we were going to run against each other, but he felt like that would upset the community too much, so he didn't want to go down that road. Yet I was willing to do it. So he helped me out a lot. We had so much fun. He came up with absurd ideas, which because it's such a weird town, I thought possibly they could work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, being a weird town, who is Tamala Turtle? Is this a
Tamala Turtle?
Tamala
she
Turtle.
is our, I call her the Bisbee Bjork. Like every day she's in the craziest get-ups. She's a performance artist, a singer. She's brilliant, actually. She's very, very good. So they were helping me out. Like the day we went to put up my campaign signs. Oh, that's the other thing I learned. You have to put paid for and approved by. I didn't do that on my sign. So the next day I had to go and get a bunch printed up and then go slap them on all the signs.
those stickers.
That was the second mistake I made.
Don't worry,
Make
Monica,
sure
I'm
you
taking
do your
notes.
signs.
Yeah, no, I'm
Taking
aware of
notes.
all these. That's how you get people out of the race. That's for sure.
Oh
Well,
yeah, and they were looking. One of the
Oh,
things
yeah.
we were going to report before, we're a dark skies community, but yet I own Airbnbs. So I have to make sure my guests are safe. So I have lights, and they're supposed to be facing down. So, because you can see the Milky Way from here.
Sure.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
But I cannot help it if my guests turn it back up. Well, I was going to get in trouble for that. So, they were looking to get me in trouble. Any little thing.
Yeah, no, that's a common, that's a part of American politics.
I
People
mean,
don't talk about how you.
Arizona's got its own little Marfa. We're from Texas, and I feel like that's what she's describing.
Well,
the Milky Way, the music,
Yeah.
if you've ever heard of
It's
Marfa.
very
Martha.
similar to Martha.
Very similar.
or
The only
around.
thing is we don't have, what do you have, a Prada store
Yeah.
there? We don't have that, but I think you got us on that.
I bet you could get a Prada there.
You could
'cause
probably
it's
get
just
Chanel,
like the one
just
that they
like a
have.
storefront.
Oh yeah, they could. Yeah,
they could. You could
It's
do
not a real
Chanel. We'll do
store, it's
Prada.
just-
Anyway.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
seeing
going to ask. I'm going to ask or anyone.
Yeah.
the way you're doing your business in that part of Arizona. Why be mayor? That's kind of a tougher job. I could see you, and given some of the candidates, governor, senator.
Oh.
I mean,
Well,
of Arizona, I think that's doable.
not out of
Well,
reach.
here's what I have to do first. I'm on the museum board. I'm on the committee for the Mariachi Festival, which, that's
Love
when
it.
you guys should come down. We have the Mariachi Festival coming up on November 2nd. And we were able to did you guys watch American Idol at all?
Yeah.
There was the candidate, McKenna Reinhold, and
Yeah.
her mother was from Bisbee. Well, I don't think she was from here, but that was a lot of the story on American Idol. Well, me and my people on the committee were able to get her to come for the Mariachi
Oh,
Festival November 2nd. So she's going to be our special
There you
guest.
go.
But we're kind of a town of cosplay. We have crazy parties. We have Alice in Bisbee Land, where everybody comes dressed up like Alice in Wonderland. I throw Elvis in Bisbee Land, so you have to come dressed as Elvis.
Oh wow.
My birthday party in 2 weeks is Bridgerton. We have, just so many crazy parties.
Well,
We just
Bisbee
love to
sounds
throw
like
up.
a ton of fun on top of
It is
everything else.
fun.
And we have
It
some
is.
women who may want to come visit your Airbnb and
I would love to have you.
and party there with you. And they are our Zoomer moms, and today's special feature, Zoomer daughters. So welcome, Zoomer moms and Zoomer daughters. Welcome to the Moms Club. Well, ladies, I'm just going to introduce you and tell us a little bit about yourself. And do you have a question for Gretchen? Let's start with Cricket. Welcome to the Moms Club.
Hi, Cricket.
Hi, I had to unmute. Thanks. What a wonderful interview. You guys do a great show for sure. I'm retired, semi-retired, living in Los Angeles out of the entertainment business as well, and have 3 children, 1 by birth and 2 by marriage. And what always occurred to me, you talked about moving them out of Los Angeles to raise your children. And we lived in Malibu at the time, and there was a lot of influence from celebrity out there. So I wondered, what were the benefits there? Do you think, what are the lessons that they learned by moving them out of LA?
I think that it was just really hard for my children. And then on top of it, you also add in social media. You know, when we grew up, we didn't have that. We didn't have that constant pressure to compare ourselves to people. And so on top of being a child of a celebrity, I mean, look at all the smart ones moved out. Julia Roberts, you know, she moved to New Mexico. Sandra Bullock, you know, if you knew the temptations and the pressure, the smart people, I think, went and just kind of commuted back and forth. And I just feel like for kids in the show business, people, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying people who just live there and just live there and aren't in the business. I think it's a fine place to grow up, but I do think the pressures of having a famous parent and living in LA with the trappings and all that, it's just, I think, difficult for them to grow up and have a normal experience. You know, it's just not normal.
Not as much community.
Yeah.
Jeanette, welcome to the Moms Club. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and do you have a question for Gretchen?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, hello.
Hey, hi, I'm Janine. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I do have a question. My husband and I host monthly dinners in our home, so we've dabbled, I guess, in the hospitality line for a bit, and so we've had high moments and some that were a challenge and were learning experiences. And since you've been in Arizona, you have several businesses that you're juggling, and I assume you were not an Airbnb owner in the past or a restaurant owner. So as far as learning curve, some of the big lessons that you learned, can you pinpoint a couple that you could share?
Sure. Well, I was a restaurant owner in Los Angeles for a brief period of time. My ex-husband and I invested into a restaurant, and the guy just ran it into the ground. So that's the first thing I learned, is you have to be so hands-on on a restaurant. And the other thing is, the restaurant that we bought had been here 30 years, and we bought it during COVID because we knew it had been established, it had been here for 30 years, and the food was so delicious. Like, we do homemade pies, quiche, sandwiches, salads, homemade cookies. The menu's incredible, and it's very simple. And so we just took it over because we knew we couldn't lose. And the greatest thing we learned, well, we didn't learn, but the day we closed was the day they let you go to full tables. Because remember, during COVID, they spaced everything out so you could only have half your capacity. And so I knew it was the right choice the day we opened, when they go, hey, you can put all your tables back in. I'm like, oh my God, get up to the attic, bring everything down. So, but I learned you have to be super hands-on. Yeah. And so my partner and I, he does all the grocery shopping. Luckily, we have a manager who's been there for 10 years. So she knows it kind of runs itself in Bisbee. Our new establishment has been a little more difficult to deal with because it's a way bigger town. There's 40,000 people. So we thought, we should be able to easily do what we're doing in Bisbee just by sheer number. There's a lot more people, but we have a commercial kitchen there, so we have to transfer the food over. Yeah. And so it took us a really long time for the health department to sign off on that. And then we had to buy like a van that was completely cleaned out, because I guess the person we bought it from was just driving the food over in her car, which you're not allowed to do, which she never told us. So, you know, that was an unexpected expense. But yeah, you just have to be really hands-on. And I think with Airbnb, as long as you keep things really clean, like, people get really mad when there isn't toilet paper in the room, and they get not happy at all if there aren't towels. So, you just have to be
I do.
meticulous about making sure every
looking
single
at
thing.
Monica.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And that was in the beginning, because I hadn't run one. Sometimes I would make that mistake where I just was doing a final walkthrough and something would get by me. So that's what I tell all my crew now.
Oh, that would so be me. I'd be like, oh, you need toilet paper? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, did
Yeah.
you? Oh, I'm sorry. What? Oh, do you need toilet paper?
You need it? Okay. Okay. Hold on. Yeah.
Funny the things
I would forget.
you don't think of. I want to just say right here, I have met Janine. She's even been on our show before.
Yes.
And I called her Jeanette, which just shows that my eyesight is, it's the menopausal brain, I guess. I don't know. I apologize, Janine. I know you, so I'm glad
I'm
glad
wearing
you're on the
two
show.
pairs of glasses getting over surgery on my eyes, and so I completely get it.
Well, I was trying to be all, fashionable. I didn't want to wear glasses, but I should have. So my apologies. Well, today we have Zoomer daughters, which is so exciting. We have not had before. And in this interview so far, we have not mentioned much about Danny Bonaduce, who was Gretchen's ex-husband, who was on the Partridge Family. And part of the reason, I suppose, is because last night we were at dinner and we were talking about who we're going to meet today. And we mentioned it to a young man who's 23. Yeah. And he said, the what? I never heard of the Partridge. What? I don't even know what you're talking about. So.
Isn't that crazy?
I know.
I talk to younger people and they go, well, I've heard of the Beatles. I go, you've heard of the Beatles?
They barely heard of the Brady Bunch. We kept throwing shows out to them, and they're like, yeah, I kind of think I know that. So I don't know what kind of questions you're going to get from the next generation, but our first Zoomer daughter is Julie's own daughter, Georgia. So Georgia, welcome to the Moms Club. And as your mom said, be nice. No. Do you have a question for Gretchen?
Yes, I do. Hi, I'm Georgia. I'm super excited to be here today. My question for you, I have a few, but I think I wanted to ask about what it was like doing reality TV and if you were able to be yourself and kind of what your reflection is of that process.
Okay. Wow, that's a great question. It was a mixed blessing because the show that we shot was supposed to be Rock and Roll Dinner Party. And it was rock stars came over. It was a potluck. It was supposed to be funny and zany. We came right after the Osbourne show. I don't know if you're familiar with the Osbourne show, but it was such a smash hit that everyone was looking for the next Osbournes. And so, the show that we thought we were going to be doing was a funny, hilarious, bringing up our kids, potluck with rock stars. But it turned into a really dark show because what was happening, my ex-husband and I were actually really struggling, and it was actually capturing the implosion of our marriage, which was not at all what we were going to be shooting. And another reason I would not have put my kids on TV had I known that was the direction the show was going to go. But I'm super proud of it. I mean, we were able just to help a lot of people who were struggling with infidelity and drug issues and anger issues and alcoholism. We dealt with all of that. And so it was a really dark subject. And so I wish that it hadn't gone that way, but yet I'm kind of proud of it. I don't think we would have been brave enough to do it had we known that's the way it was going to go. But I do feel like it was probably the most real TV show that was ever on because there was nothing staged. And actually, I'm also a really bad actress. So
reality TV was it.
Like one time they go, oh my God, we didn't get you going out of the building. Could you go back in and come back out? So I did, and they were all laughing. I'm like, what's so funny? They go, that is the most unnatural walk out of the building we've ever seen. So they never asked me again.
Well, I'm just going
I want to act. I wish I could, but I can just be me. Turns out.
I'm going to interject on what you just said because I think it's really important. You didn't know the show was going to take that route, but I am going to say by you talking about some of those issues, you probably helped a lot of people and you gave it a lot less power by bringing it to the surface and talking about it and releasing it. So you probably did a lot of good, with your reality TV show. So
I did get a lot of great feedback, and I know the producers were laughing at me because I said from the start, I would like the show to make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to go, remember when you said that? And then I said this, let's do that again. You know, I really didn't want any of that. And I know they were like, oh, you're so cute with wanting to make a difference on your TV show.
Yeah.
But the mail that we got after, I know we did. And yeah, I mean, I would definitely want to do another one, but a fun one this time.
Right. I mean, one that doesn't make
one
you
that's
pit sweat every second that they're filming,
yeah,
right?
something that's reality, but in a positive, happy
Right.
In
way.
a fun way. Yeah,
Yeah.
one that I would want to put my kids on again. And I even told my son, you know, if you want to be on this, you are welcome, but I need you to go in with your eyes open. You know, this is going to be a way more fun show if I ever get one to go, but you also are going to have to deal with criticism. And I want to make sure, you know, I think people that can't handle that well should not be on reality shows because people are vicious.
We actually have interviewed quite a few people that have done reality TV, and for some reason we get the villains a lot that show up here because they actually want to redeem themselves.
They want to redeem themselves.
Say we met one, we loved her, she was the nicest person, and before the show, my husband had watched the series, and he's like, oh, I don't know, you don't want her on your show. I said, I talked to her on the phone, she was super nice. She's very nice. I won't give it away because her show's still going.
But to cut you in ways, but I feel like when people are disappointed, like I was fine. I felt the way they cut me was fine. I had no issues with it.
Yeah.
But you know, some people feel like they get villainized, and maybe, but I also feel like, well, did you do that? Did you say that? Then you did it. So how can you complain?
Yeah.
Well, that is true, but I will tell you, because your political career is still, you know, we expect you to run for mayor again. Just everything you say, they can cut it in a way that, and then they'll twist it where that's not really at all what you meant. But there's a huge ad that says, you know,
Oh yeah,
She's pretty tough. She's done
Gretchen
it all.
hates
So, yeah.
dogs and children. Oh well, yeah. I'm like, whoa, you know. So yeah, you gotta be aware of that.
That's true. But
Yep.
because I have the reality show backlash experience, that nothing
know.
bothers me.
Yeah.
I scoff when people
Yeah.
go, oh, I'm gonna say something mean about you to the Bisbee people. I'm like, have the world come at you and have an opinion. and
Well,
talk
I'm
to me.
100%. Georgia would be like, Mom, 0 reality TV.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta
No,
do-
my
yeah.
children have already told me that's not a thing I should
Not an
consider.
option. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
my daughter would not ever be on a show again under any
So
circumstance.
I can understand.
I wouldn't even ask her because
Yeah.
I don't feel like she felt it was positive for her.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel bad about that.
Of
you
course.
know, I
That's
definitely feel
understandable.
bad that I, you know, put her in that position. And I even said to her, well, you have a really good point. Maybe you should go to Screen Actors Guild and talk to them about people when they're young being on TV and not really being consulted about it. They were paid. I made sure that when they both turned 18, they had a lot of money because I paid them for, you know, being on the show. I put them on a salary. But there is an argument for maybe there's some kids that shouldn't do it, and maybe the parents' motivation is wrong.
Well,
you know, so
and that's
so
a-
I don't know the answer, but I do feel like my daughter had a point.
Yeah,
you know?
that's actually a good point. And in the history of Hollywood, obviously with kids actors, that's been a huge thing. In fact, I think there's an organization, one committed suicide years ago, and another group of them started an organization to support kids.
Well,
who
there
are
was
just-
that whole movement in the 90s, the whole
Yeah.
ex-child star gone bad, you know, with Danny being in trouble,
Yeah.
and Dana Plato, who's, you know, ended up
Yes.
dying, and Todd Bridges was in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just a bunch of, a lot of them, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman,
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah,
that
the list
were,
is long.
you know, it's an argument definitely to say, it's a lot in the parenting.
That's-
if you don't have good parenting, you're definitely going to have problems with your kid down
Yeah.
the line.
And
You know,
and
it's
exploiting.
such an unnatural thing, you know, being
Oh,
a
yeah.
famous person when the world loves you and then going home to a crappy family. I don't think a kid has a chance under those
Yeah,
circumstances.
I think
for
you're
to be
right.
A well, you know, rounded adult.
Well, we have one more Zoomer daughter here. She is not my daughter. She's actually my niece, but close enough. She's like a daughter because I have no daughters. Emily, welcome to the Moms Club. Do you have a question for Gretchen?
So my question for you is about your book and what the process was of writing that, and if whether that was a cathartic experience for you, and just if you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's so funny that you asked that because honestly, all the things I'm doing now, I had no experience. I had zero experience in writing. As a matter of fact, I get criticized on my social media all the time. I misspell stuff or I use the wrong. I'm really bad at accept and accept. But I'm like, I'm too busy, people. I'm ready to give me a break. But I decided to write it myself because I was thinking about bringing in a ghostwriter. But I'm kind of greedy and I didn't really want to pay somebody. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see. So I told her a story and I said, write it, then send it to me. And it totally didn't sound like me. So I'm like, you know what? I can do this. And so I just was very disciplined. Every day I sat down and I wrote. And I didn't even try to put it in an order. I just tried to write story until then I could try to put it in an order. And so that's kind of how I did that. And I was lucky enough to find a publisher who was willing to put it out. And it definitely was cathartic. It was a lot of work, but I'm very proud of that because out of all the things I'm doing, I probably had the least amount of experience, to write a book. So I really enjoyed doing it. And the book's called Surviving Agent Orange and Other Things I Learned from Being Thrown Under the Partridge Family Bus. And the reason it's called Surviving Agent Orange, that was our code name, my assistant and myself for Danny.
Yeah.
She'd be like, Agent Orange is pulling into the driveway. And so it just was a funny name we called Danny.
Well,
Oh,
that's
my
great.
goodness.
Well, thank you so much, Gretchen. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, I'm inspired
Yeah.
by your fearlessness
I'm
of just going
inspired.
for it.
Yeah, writing
or
books,
my
running for
stupidity,
office, singing.
Say that again, Gretchen. Sorry.
I said, or my stupidity.
Well,
No.
That's not true.
Yeah.
You are,
People have said to me, did you ever worry that you were going to fail? And I just don't have that chip in me. I should have worried more than I did. And somehow I've been able, just by sheer tenacity and not willing to fail, to pull through and pull all of the stuff off. So if I can inspire anyone, you can do it. I did it.
Well,
It's crazy
you
what I've
are,
been able to
as we
accomplish.
say here on the Moms Club, you are l'amazing.
Amazing.
And so are our l'amazing Zoomer moms. So thanks for joining us, moms and daughters, today.
Yes.
For being on the show.
You guys, it was so much fun. I appreciate all of you being on here and having me. And you guys have an open door. We do the most strange things. Like I have seances here. We do seance dinners and
Oh, wow.
Love that.
Like I said, all the crazy dumb parties that we love to do. And you guys are welcome to come and bring some outfits and we'll have fun.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
That sounds fun. So where can our audience find you
Yeah.
on social media, and how can they find make a reservation? How did
Yeah, I'm
How do they
on
find it?
Airbnb, VerboBooking.com. Hotel. I'm on all the platforms for booking hotels. And my restaurant is La Cornucopia Cafe. The main one's in Bisbee, and then I have the new one in Sierra Vista. And I'm hoping, if things go well, we'll roll that one out to Tombstone, which is a half hour from here and also really, really fun.
We need a
So,
tour.
That's
yeah,
fun.
I'm Gretchen Bonaduce under all my social media. And I would love for you guys to come anytime. So come visit.
That'd be great.
It sounds like an adventure. I'm in.
That is. Well, we want to thank our
Yes.
sponsor.
We do have a great
I
one.
can't say enough. Well, first of all, two sponsors. One, I want to thank the Beeman Hotel. They are talk about a great place to stay. If you're after your trip to Bisbee, stop by the Beeman in Dallas. You will have a great time
That's
there.
right.
It's amazing, amazing. And I also want to thank our sponsor, Newcom, because Newcom, I don't generally wear hats because I don't really get my hair messed up.
Yeah, but it looks so cute.
How does it
Oh my
look on
God,
me?
look what I have too.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
and Gretchen,
look at you,
see,
Gretchen.
we're
Look
all
what I have.
we're all newcomers, and let me tell you, it really, really, really works. Moms,
work.
if you are stressed out, and actually, the Surgeon General just said that parenting causes tremendous stress. The Surgeon General said that. So people, this is serious. But you know what can fix it? Newcom. And we have a special for you. If you put Moms Club in the code at checkout, you get 15% off every month of your subscription. You cannot beat that. So I use it. Julie.
Yes.
My son
I
is
used it
using
last night.
I
Yes.
used it too. See how great
Everybody
we were today
needs to
because we
sign
all
up for
had
New
music.
Calm.
Everybody.
Yes,
Everybody.
if you want to be more calm.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, a lot of things. It does.
Everything.
It helps you with everything.
Sleep.
So definitely sign up for New Calm. And check us out on social media. We're on Instagram at Inside the Moms Club. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook more recently. We have a YouTube channel. And we have a website at InsideTheMomsClub.com. So check us out there. Well, Julie, everything, just flies by,
It
especially
does.
when you're here. So when you just run off on
I've
vacation,
missed you.
it takes a little longer. So I'm so happy that you were back. It's so much fun. But we will be back next time with celebrities and
Yes.
extraordinary moms, like all the Zoomer moms here today,
That's right.
and you and I.
Yeah.
And until then, remember our Moms Club motto: if you don't laugh sometimes, ladies,
You
you're
are
gonna
gonna cry.
Don't cry. Nobody likes crying.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time inside the Moms Club.